We're back, episode 168 of the Client by Client podcast. Getting started here in just a second. Just got back into town last night. If you guys remember, a couple weeks back, I mentioned that a very near and dear family member, one of my favorite aunts of all time, passed away, and so went to be with family and to celebrate and honor her life. Had a great time. So thanks to those of you who sent messages of condolence and kind words. It really means a lot. And that's why we didn't have episodes over the last couple days. So we're back on the train today. Make sure my audio isn't coming in too loud. And today we're talking about the shift from just being in the coach mentality to what needs to happen to be the CEO of your online business. So give me a thumbs up if you're watching this live. Give me a peace sign emoji if you're watching this sometime in the future. Let's hop in and let's bring this to life. James Cooper, what is up? Coop is in the house. Let's get this started and let's do this. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in today. In the last episode, we talk about the 4 reasons why most online coaches, most online business owners fail. And so if you want to make sure that you are on the right track to success of getting clients, of changing the lives of so many people, and being that person, being that business that made the difference, be sure to backtrack 1 episode so that you can understand the 4 main reasons that could cause for you to experience slow growth or maybe even experience failure. In fact, when you understand these 4 things, it becomes close to impossible to not know what area needs the most work in your online business. So be sure to backtrack 1 episode so you can understand the 4 major roadblocks, how to overcome them, and to have them on your radar. In today's episode, I want to talk about shifting you from online coach to being the CEO and the visionary of your online business. I have 4 different kind of modes or ways, questions, kind of paths of thinking that most coaches say, and I want to reflect the equal and opposite so that we can get you in the mindset of the CEO of having a top-down vision in your online business and where you're taking it. Let's hop in and let's talk about these 4 different perspectives and how a coach might think about it and handle it versus the CEO so that you can start walking in those shoes and create a longer-term vision in your online business. The first question that I want to talk about that a coach is going to look at, the lens that they're going to look through in their online business is, where's my next client? And so as online coaches, our number 1 job is, of course, sales, and nothing else happens without it. And when you get into that zone, you get into this mode, which is, where's my next client coming from? And it's an important question, and someone has to answer it, especially in the startup stage in your online business, in that 0 to 15K a month range. And so where's my next client is a worthy question. But if you can zoom out and look at the bigger picture and take your coach hat off and put your CEO hat on, this is closer to the line of thinking and the questioning that the CEO is going to be asking that I want to implore you to start asking too. Instead of asking or thinking about where's my next client, which is where's my next client, again, it's a worthy question, is instead, where are my next 100 clients? Where is my market hanging out? And how can I get them to come to me? So instead of looking at, which again, this show is designed upon, client by client, growing your business, doing the right things in the right order at the right time for enough time, and then creating a systematic approach to never have to do those things again and to make them happen in perpetuity. But when you zoom out and you get out of that startup stage, what you then begin to look at is the bigger picture. And instead of thinking about where your next client is coming from, you sit down, maybe with a choice beverage, and you get grounded and present with the thought of, where are my next 100 clients? And what you will begin to notice is you will stop thinking about what you're going to be posting on social media, or what email needs to go out, or what needs to happen today. And what you might be led to think about is something like ads, which, if you haven't been clued into my philosophy and our philosophy here on the Client by Client podcast and everything we do here in Leverage Coach, ads are not the answer until you're at least 30K a month for a minimum of 3 months in a row. If not, it's just a big bag of hurt. We've talked about it in too many episodes in the past for us to go into deep today. But when you realize that, okay, that's not the answer, then what might be? What's gonna lead me to my next 100? You might find yourself looking at launching a new campaign. You might look at, how can I get more email subscribers? You might look at, how can I get more people into my Facebook group? You might think about, who already has the attention of my audience? And when you start asking questions like that, you'll get entirely different answers than the one you'll get to, where's my next client? The second question that a coach will ask versus a CEO, question number 2 is, what am I working on this week? Or what am I working on today? Or what needs to happen right now? Or maybe even next? Worthy questions. Someone needs to ask them and someone needs to answer them. That person's probably gonna be you. But when you swap out the coach hat for the CEO hat, what that instead begins to sound like is, taking the page out of Gary Cowler's The One Thing, what one thing can I do right now that by doing makes everything else easier or unnecessary? In fact, if you just ask this question every day, whether you came up with an answer or not, I promise you that over the course of the next 365 days, probably less, you will wind up with an answer to that question that changes everything about the way you operate in your business, maybe even the way you operate in life, and maybe the trajectory that you are on begins to head to new heights and to new levels. Instead of thinking about, which it does need to get thought about, of what I need to do next or right now, this is less about shooting from the hip and flying and operating by the seat of your pants and doing things done and doing a magical dance out of it and still getting clients and getting those clients results and doing everything that we have to do as online coaches. But when you come from the perspective of what one thing can I do right now that by doing impacts everything else or makes everything else easier or unnecessary, you will wind up at times with a whole different kind of answer that lays out the groundwork and the foundation for your next 1, 3, 5, or 10 years. And so you stop waking up thinking about what needs to happen today, what needs to happen next, and you start to operate from a plan and operate from a vision and operate from a whole different standpoint of what needs to happen to bring this thing, this idea, this project to life. And that is an entirely different way of operating than of waking up and looking at your calendar saying, what's in store today and what can I fit in and what can I get done? Your calendar just begins to get filled with important things. And everything else begins to happen in the cracks magically. Everything that you need to be doing in order to stay visible on social media, everything that you need to be doing when it comes to client delivery, or those things get answered, impacted, and changed at a very high level in comparison to what needs to happen today. The question I implore you to ask is, what one thing can I do right now that by doing makes everything else easier or unnecessary? And if you want more reading on this, check out The One Thing by Gary Cowler. Third, the coach asks, how can I charge more? How can I charge more for my online coaching? How can I charge more for my online course? How can I charge more for my services? And not that that's not a worthy question, but you will be given answers in conjunction to, and the quality of those answers in conjunction to the quality and the level of questions in which you ask. So instead of saying or thinking, how do I charge more for this thing, which is a worthy question, and that gets balanced out and brings you to a higher level of perspective. From the visionary standpoint, from the CEO standpoint at minimum, is thinking and asking, how do I bring more value? How do I bring more value to my existing clients? It's a whole different question than how do I charge more, right? And how does that feel when you think of that? How do I bring more value to my clients? How do I bring more value to my leads faster? How do I bring more value to the marketplace? You will wind up with totally different kinds of answers than thinking about how do I charge more. Raising your prices and pricing it appropriately and charging what you're worth are very important things. But when you, and that's a very mental way of thinking. Some would say that's a very sacral or survival way of thinking versus coming from the heart and saying, how do I bring more value? How do I increase the value I'm bringing at every stage of my pipeline? How do I become the most valuable coach, the most valuable person, the most valuable business to my marketplace and to my dream prospects? It's way easier to answer the question of how do I charge more than it is how do I bring more value. However, when you carve out time in your day, week, month, year to ask these sorts of deeper, more profound, more what James Cooper just commented, purposeful questions. Thank you for that, brother. When you ask more purposeful questions, you will wind up with far more purposeful answers. In fact, if I could backtrack one episode and think about and to add to it of why most online coaches fail is because we think from the mind or we think in survival versus thinking from the heart. I could change that whole episode and just talk about that and it'd probably be better. But for those of you that made it to this one, here we are. You can't change the past, right? Hindsight 2020. But when you ask questions that are more purposeful, more from the heart, to have a deeper meaning as one way of looking at it, or come from a higher perspective, another way of looking at it, you will get far more profound, deeper, more meaningful answers. If you've gotten value at this point in the show, an insight, some inspiration, maybe a tip or a reminder, you guys are freaking smart. Be sure to take a screenshot wherever you're getting this show, post it to your story, tag me at WhatUpJeremy. I'd love to return the favor. This show only grows organically, no ads, no nothing like that. So if you're liking this, be sure to post in your story or share it with a friend. That'd mean a lot too. Lastly, thing number 4, how do we go from coach to CEO? The coach is going to ask a question which someone needs to be asking and someone needs to be tracking this, of course. But the coach is going to ask something like, what's the revenue goal this month? A worthy question. Someone needs to be answering that and asking that. But when you get out of the mode of like, where's my next client? What the opposite looks like is thinking about projections. Before I give you the answer here, it's thinking about projections. It's how many do we help last month and how many more can we help this month? It's what's the quality of our pipeline? What's the time to close? How long does it take someone to go from discovering us or me to becoming not only a paying client, but having their life absolutely changed? Which leads us to how the CEO, how the visionary is going to look at this. So when you pop on that CEO hat, instead of asking, what's the revenue goal this month? That would sound something like, how do I impact more people? How do I change more lives? How do I become more meaningful and more important to my prospects and to my marketplace and to my paying clients? And there's no clear-cut answer for any of these things. These are hard questions. These are extremely tough questions to be asking. But when you prioritize this sort of thinking and carve out thinking time for you to process these things and to, yes, be the coach and the salesperson and the marketer in your online business, but to also prioritize, if not above those things, being the CEO, being the visionary, being the person that's fostering a long-term vision and a long-term way of looking at life, let alone business. This is how you make the shift from coach to CEO. In the next episode of Client by Client, this is causing your organic marketing and organic client acquisition to suffer. Be sure to come back to tomorrow's episode to understand what that thing or things might be. Whenever you are ready, here are a couple ways I can help you get clients consistently. First, download your free copy of GetBookedCRM. Coaches, are you still managing your leads and pipeline from Instagram DM, Facebook Messenger, and your email inbox, where you're losing leads in the cracks and leaving a lot of money and clients on the table every single week and month? That's why I created GetBookedCRM. What started out as a free and simple way for me to manage my pipeline and turn prospects into clients has quickly become my favorite tool of my private students and many members in the Leverage Coach community, which I'll tell you about here in a second. To download your free copy of GetBookedCRM and to turn leads into clients in half the time, just find me on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and send me the letters CRM. Second, join my free group for online business owners. I've got coaches, authors, speakers, and consultants from all over the world, all implementing my methods and strategies for starting and growing an online business and getting clients consistently. Join us in the Leverage Coach community where all ships rise in a high tide by finding me on Instagram and sending me the word group. Lastly, become my next success story. Probably the best way that I can help you in your online business. Every month, I get a couple coaches together to implement my methods and frameworks for injecting a minimum of 15K worth of new clients or doubling your existing client roster base over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But working with the right people is super important to me. So this is only for you if you are a relationship-focused business owner who always puts the human and the client ahead of the money. You've been working with clients for at least 6 months to a year or working on growing your online business. You would like to get 3 to 5 clients organically every week or month from social media without wasting money and time on paid ads. You have at least 300 friends on a social platform, email list, or Facebook group. You are willing to take bold, inspired action because you know that your success depends upon it. And last but most importantly, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want you to grab your phone right now, give that Instagram app a tap, do a little search, find me at What Up Jeremy if we're not connected already. And then I want for you to, when you get there, binge on some reels, give me a follow while you're there, and then I want for you to message me the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about your online business and about your vision for the next 12 months. Then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month. Then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month in the program, my proven track record for helping other coaches, authors, and speakers to get clients consistently. And then we'll also identify what part of the program will likely make the biggest impact on your business the soonest. That way you know what to expect. For all the details now, just find me over on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and send me the words case study. That's it for this episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you in the next one. Cheers. Coop, appreciate you. I've been wearing my coach hat so long that I forgot I own a CEO hat. That can happen. That happens to all of us. And as you being here saying that happens to the best of us, my friend. Glad I could be here to serve as a little bit of a reminder, maybe a little kick in that direction. Really appreciate you and appreciate all the hearts and love here in the comments, guys. That means a lot. If you're catching this on LinkedIn, share this with your connections or drop an insight below. What stood out to you? I'm sure that your connections and others can find value out of that. If you're on Facebook, give this a like, give this a reaction, maybe the little guy hugging the heart. That'd mean a lot. That'd make me feel special. And share this if you feel so inclined. If you are on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You get tuned in with all of the latest episodes, which can be found right here along with all of the episodes of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're back on Monday. Might do another one tomorrow to pinch in because of what happened over the last couple days, but that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.